Every word she says about Barack Obama is negative. I can't think of her sitting there just waxing poetic about him, complimenting. He's brilliant. He's a great dad. He was the greatest president, whatever a normal wife of Barack Obama would say. Every time she opines, it's something that reflects poorly on him, how he's insensitive, how he's not a talker, how he doesn't know how to relate to people. He doesn't keep the same schedule as she does. And now we're talking about you can have a
Megyn Kelly didn't just say something about Michelle Obama. She totally took apart the perfect picture everyone's believed in forever. In a super tough talk, she pulled away all the shiny magazine photos, the careful speeches, and the rich lifestyle that pretends to be normal. Every nice story and every planned smile was shown to be part of a big plan to look good. This wasn't saying nice things or a small argument. It was a huge attack that broke Michelle's perfect image and left her carefully made-up public self falling apart.
Still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new, spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which still on YouTube, she's got 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing. And now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it. And that's still all she's managed.
Michelle Obama's been treated like a queen by the media, like everything she does is amazing, no matter how fake or planned it seems. But Megyn Kelly wasn't here for the show. She wasn't going to give the usual, "Oh, she's so great" talk. Megyn peeled back the pretty pictures and catchy social media posts to show the real deal. And it wasn't so nice.
On a podcast called Diary of a CEO. It's kind of rings a bell like a founder kind of situation. And once again, wants you to know how awful it is to be married with children.
There are just many natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult. It's like I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Just listen to what I said.
For years, Michelle's been sold as this super relatable lady who gets what regular people go through. But Megyn Kelly was like, no way. Relatable? From a woman who hangs out with super rich people, vacations at fancy resorts, and eats with billionaires? The only struggle Michelle's got is picking which private jet or yacht makes her Instagram pics look better.
Here she is interviewing Dr. Sharon Malone, perhaps better known as former Attorney General Eric Holder's wife. And therein lies the problem, as these two ladies, married to two very famous men, are pissed that they are not the alpha in terms of popularity and recognition.
Megyn then dug into Michelle's activism, the stuff that sounds cool in news headlines but doesn't really do much when the cameras leave. Like her Let's Move campaign, it was supposed to get kids healthy, but it turned into confusing rules, school lunches kids didn't like, and Michelle acting like it was a huge win. Megyn said it's the perfect example of Michelle's work. Big talk, small results, dressed up like it's a game changer.
If you're having some issues in your marriage, it's not you, it's the process of marriage. It's all hard, because guess what happens when it all works out right? You know what you end up with? Babies. Little people with their own sense of everything. They mess you up. You love them dearly, but they're a hassle.
What? Oh, there's something wrong with this person. She's seriously depressed. She has the most negative, dark outlook on life I've ever heard from a public figure. Certainly one who's been given so.
Then there's Michelle's book. She sold it as a super honest look at her life, but Megyn called it a big marketing trick, like something a company would plan. Every story in it was picked carefully, every word polished to sound like an inspirational quote. And the media loved it, not because it was new, but because everyone treats Michelle's image like it's too perfect to question.
Now, Barack's come in, he's come out, and he's like, y'all still talking? He'll sit down for 5 minutes and be like, how are the boys? And the flip side of my husband, right? Because he golfs. Golf takes as long as first session of it takes 5 hours to golf. He'll golf with his buddies, come back, and be like, how's X? He's good. It's like, what'd y'all talk about? Nothing.
Okay. So can I just say, she stole that from a comedian who's all over Instagram. That little bit is all over Instagram. Forgive me, I can't remember the guy's name, but he does this whole bit about how he goes golfing with a guy whose wife just died, and he comes home, and the wife's like, how's he doing? Fine.
Megyn really went in on the double standards. Michelle talks all about being humble and helping others, but her life after the White House is like a rich person's dream. Big money for speeches, Netflix deals, huge tours, all while saying she's a voice for regular folks. Megyn didn't just call it mixed up, she said it's straight up insulting. And then there's the sneaky political stuff. Michelle says she doesn't want to run for office, but she's always in the middle of political talk. Really, she's keeping the same powerful systems she says she's above. All the fashion photos, fancy events, and perfect posts. It's like a celebrity acting like a moral hero.
Obama, listen to this.
And at this phase of my life, I'm in therapy right now because I'm transitioning. You know, I'm 60 years old. I've finished a really hard thing in my life with my family intact. I'm an empty nester. My girls are in, they've been launched. And now for the first time, as I've said before, every choice that I'm making is completely mine. I now don't have the excuse of, well, my kids need this or my husband needs that or the country needs that. So how do I think about this next phase?
Once again, speaking a reference to her time as First Lady negatively, and I'm transitioning. I mean, an interesting choice of words, given how the internet refers to her.
Then Megyn hit on how Michelle's put on this untouchable pedestal, like you can't question her without seeming mean. But Megyn wasn't playing that game. She said that's exactly why we need to look closer. Power without being checked is risky, even if it's wrapped in charm and great photos. Megyn also took apart Michelle's speeches. People call them amazing, but take away the dramatic pauses and hand waves, and it's just nice words that don't say anything bold. She's not just a person, she's like a brand, with cookbooks, movies, and her name on everything, like a pop star. And all that money makes her, I'm like you, story harder to believe.
He was laughing, he's yelling down to a buddy down below. They were joking, he was smiling. He was covered in dirt, to your life motto. And I thought, look at this guy in this dark, dank, smelly, dirty place with lots of danger. Not just this cherry picker, but also the live rail that he's working on, all the wires, having a great time. And then you look at her, they have to be billionaires by now. Out on the yachts, the Martha's Vineyard $22 million estate, totally thriving young daughters who went to Harvard and USC. Never going to be good enough. It's a mind frame, right? It's like your choice of how you're going to go through this.
Megyn didn't stop at Michelle's image. She called out how the Obamas turned life after the White House into a money-making machine. They're not just regular people now. They're like a powerful family waiting for their next big move, keeping their connection strong and their brand making cash. Michelle's the star of that show, selling ideas, movements, or products with a smile. The toughest part was when Megyn talked about how the media treats Michelle like she's perfect. Every outfit's a big deal, every post is epic, every event is historic. Megyn pointed out it's not fair. Anyone else with her kind of money and connections would get way more criticism. Michelle's not some inspiring leader above it all. She's a smart player who knows how to work the system while acting relatable.
I think that's a very unhealthy position to take, or to advise other people to gut it out for 10 years of misery. I mean, first of all, what that would do to you physically alone, I would never want to sign up for that. And secondly, does she not realize that by talking shit about her partner of decades, first Black president of the United States, she's talking shit about herself? Lady, you chose.
Megyn wasn't just talking about Michelle's career. She called out the culture that makes her untouchable. People treat famous leaders like brands you can't criticize. And in Megyn's view, Michelle's not just part of that problem. She's one of its biggest stars. She moves through the world knowing the cameras will catch her best side and the headlines will make her look perfect. Megyn smashed that idea, saying it's not real charm, it's years of carefully planned image building. Every laugh, photo, or casual comment is practiced to make everyone love her. It's not natural. It's like a business plan with a smile. Megyn said Michelle's grace comes with a safety net. The media never shows her mistakes.
The first one about how difficult it is for Black women like Michelle to articulate their pain.
We grew up with women who weren't voicing the pain, and the burden. They made it look easy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make stuff look easy, people assume that you must like this.
Yeah.
It's okay with you, right?
Right.
You know, we don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
There's that
we
part.
knew, I think we would care. If we
Megyn made it clear this isn't just special treatment. It's like a shield that lets Michelle stay above the mess while picking when to jump into big debates. She talks just enough to stay important, but not so much she gets real pushback. Megyn also pointed out how Michelle plays two roles, cultural star and political wife, switching whenever it suits her. Then there's the fancy lifestyle she downplays. For someone who says she speaks for working families, Michelle's life looks like a magazine dream. Designer clothes, expensive houses, fancy trips. Megyn said the gap between her life and regular people's isn't just big, it's like a private jet ride apart.
Knowing that there are divorce rumors and, she's not showing up for him, whether it's at the Jimmy Carter funeral or the Trump inauguration or the basketball game he just went to in LA, when visiting their daughters and then dinner with the daughters was not there. Here she is talking about it. If it were me, I would say something nice about him. I would say, like, he's just so charming. It was meant to be. I knew he could heal the earth in the way he did. There was only one person who could do it, and it was my husband, Barack Obama, whatever. Then she gets on to talking a little bit about him personally, and this is how that sounded.
When a girlfriend comes to visit, it's usually like, you got to stay for 2 days because it's going to take us
So much time to
Megyn also called out how Michelle's speeches pull at your heartstrings. She tells personal stories with just enough feeling to hook you, then switches to lessons that fit her image perfectly. Megyn called it emotional tricks, stories that sound good but don't build anything real. It's safe because she avoids tough topics that could upset her fans. And that Netflix deal. It was sold as a way to tell important stories, but Megyn said it's really about making Michelle and her husband entertainment bosses. They used to talk against big companies, but now they're the ones making big money. It's not about stories, it's about controlling the story. And people always compare Michelle to others, making her White House time seem perfect and scandal-free.
we knew.
Or, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, the men in our lives, is, why wait to be asked? It seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but we're actually living life out loud.
Perfect soundbite after the discussion we just had about how the left looks at everything through this identity. You could say prism. You could also say prison, where she's talking about how women aren't allowed to articulate their pain, about how they just suck it up. They don't show, as if men never do that. Men are known, aren't they, for articulating their pain? That's what you think of when you think of man traditionally.
Megyn broke that dream by saying it's all made up. Every presidency has problems, but Michelle's image is so polished they seem to disappear. Megyn also pointed out the huge influence machine around her. Media, influencers, and big names ready to boost anything she says. That's not regular people power. It's a top-down plan dressed up as inspiration. Megyn noticed Michelle's big appearances always happen at key political times, like elections or big fights. It's no accident. She knows when to show up and when to step back, keeping her influence strong without overdoing it. Michelle's story is sold as a rise from humble roots, which is partly true. But Megyn reminded everyone it was also built on fancy schools, powerful friends, and smart connections, things most people don't have.